Welcome everyone to the 2023 Motorsport UK Kartmasters British Kart Grand Prix, live here from PF International. We are very, very excited to welcome you to the live coverage. It's been a fantastic day of pre-finals so far, but now it's time to get the Grand Prix races underway and get those drivers those GP plates. Well, down here on the grid, myself, Chris McCarthy, someone you might have recognised from the Hungarian Grand Prix F1 Junior, Zach McDonald, alongside me. But Zach, you of course are here mostly to support the Jack Dex Racing team. You race with them in the Junior Road Tax category, maybe at Kartmasters next year. Tell us how it feels to be here this year.
I mean, it's great to be back at home. I haven't been at a kart track for over 2.5 months, and F1 is home, but this is really where it's at. So yeah, it's great to be at Kartmasters for the first time as well.
You've raced around this circuit, haven't you, at the Trent Valley Kart Club meetings. Tell for the viewers at home, what's it like to drive as a circuit?
I mean, it's the best track in the UK, in my opinion, but you have to do a lot of laps around here to be P1. That's why you'll see the top drivers here at this weekend are really the ones that have done the most laps. And
it's been very challenging for the drivers, isn't it? Because we've had a lot of rain yesterday. The first time it rained at Kartmasters for a whole day since 2012.
Wow.
So yeah, Henry gave me that one. So different conditions for the drivers today. It did dry up this morning, but we were talking before, track's very green, isn't it?
Yeah, because obviously the rain coming down has washed all the rubber away, and they do have new tyres because they've just gone onto their brand new slicks, and so they have laid down brand new rubber, but it's still not going to be quite as fast as it could be.
Yeah, so we're going from what would have been worn slicks to now much newer slick tyres. And how does that feel when you're in the seat?
I mean, I don't necessarily love brand new tyres, in my opinion. I quite like a slightly worn-in set, but because when you're brand new, it's really slippery on the first few laps, and then it takes quite a long time to get a heat cycle through the tyres as well. So yeah.
Yeah, and it's going to be very close racing out there. I know Kartmasters is something you're looking to race next year. Just tell us a little bit about your plans there.
Well, I was supposed to do Minimax and hopefully have a competitive season in Minimax earlier this year, but then MS UK decided that they couldn't do that category, and so I had to move up to Junior Max. And yeah, as a lot of drivers are, I'm one of the youngest in the class, and so I've been doing club meetings, Wilton Mill, Shennington and PFI, my hardest club meeting, and hoping to go into the British Kart Champs and hopefully Kartmasters next year.
And this is the grid for Kartmasters. This is the grid you want to be on. This is the position you want to be on as well.
Pole position, hopefully, next year.
Well, we're going to talk about the drivers who are on pole position this year, because now we are going to welcome out onto the circuit. We're getting ready to go for the first Grand Prix. Water Swift restricted drivers now coming out onto the circuit. People in the grandstand, can we get a round of applause for our Water Swift restricted drivers? Let's give them some support as they come out down the start-finish straight and get ready to go for the Grand Prix. Starting at the front, on pole position, PF plate holder Austin Gibson, and alongside him the number 77 Oliver Rowland Motorsport teammate George House. They're going to be on the front row. Myself and Zach, we're going to go and speak to some drivers. Let's let them get the karts down. I know you're going to go and speak to George, Zach, but I'm going to speak to Austin Gibson very quickly as we get ready to go for Water Swift restricted Grand Prix. Austin, of course, you've won a similar event to this already this year with the PF plate. Tell us how you're feeling ahead of the Grand Prix.
Very good. Yeah.
And tell us when you won that race, you think that's given you good preparation? Now you got the PF plate. Now you think you can go and get the GP plate?
Yeah, I feel like I've got good confidence into this race. Yeah.
It's going to be a very good race. We'll let you get set. Zach, would you like to go and speak to George House, his teammate, who sat alongside him on the front row?
George, you're starting on second place. What do you think you can do from
here? I think I can push Austin and we can get away, pull a nice gap, and then hopefully have a battle on the last lap, and hopefully it'll go as well for us.
Yeah. Are you going to have a massive fight with your teammate? Obviously you're first, second and fourth. Do you want to pull away with him like you said earlier, or if it does come to you're in first, will you hope to take the win, or do you think that he's going to come past you? What are you going to hope to do?
I just hope to push him to the last lap, then we can battle.
Nice to see you.
Cool, let's quickly speak. We've got a little bit of time, Zach, so great job with that. I'm going to speak to Colby Patterson, who gained 7 places in the pre-final. Colby, looking forward to this one. You gained a lot of places. Think you can gain a couple more now?
Very fast in the last one. I'm going to try as hard as I can to win it. Obviously, GP plate, one of the best weekends I've ever been in. So let's go try as hard as I can.
Well, best of luck to Colby Patterson. Let's have a walk down, Zach. I want to go and find Austin Newstead, who has done very well so far this weekend. And I know, Zach, you're going to go and speak to Mason Brooks as well. So whilst you go and get ready for that, I will speak to you, Austin Newstead. I know a penalty, or you've dropped back a little bit with a 5-second penalty, but you've proved you can fight at the front this weekend. Reckon we can get back there?
Yeah, it's in the British Champs at Shannington. I managed to make my way up from 12th to 1st, so hopefully we can repeat it and do it again here.
That's, I think, a good way to say it. Maybe a repeat of history. Let's go down and speak to a couple more drivers. We're going to go and have a chat with Mason Brooks. Zach, I'll hand it over to you to speak to Mason.
Mason, you've just moved up into this class, I know, and last year you had a good run on Honda Cadet and Miami Cadet. How are you feeling for this race?
Great. I just need to get a good start and get with the front and just try to push away.
Yeah. What do you feel about this car? How do you like the Water Swift?
I like it.
Yeah, you like it. It's a good car, isn't it?
Mhm.
Yeah. Nice to see you, Mason.
Good stuff. Well, Zach, let's take a walk down to the back and we'll leave the mechanics then to say their final words. I think we will head to the back of the track, shall we? And just allow the drivers to have their final words from the mechanics. Zach, tell us how this feeling is when you're now sat on the car. You've had the final words from encouragement for your mechanic. What's going through your mind at this time?
I mean, it's quite nerve-wracking, especially when your mechanics leave you. That's the worst feeling when you're just on your own and you've just got all your your teammates and all the other drivers with you. It's really nerve-wracking, but yeah, I love it.
Yeah, and that siren in the background meant that the grid is now closed. This is it. It is with the drivers now to go out. I think we'll pan round, shall we, and get a shot of all the drivers. Zach, just talk us through the first corner as well, going into there here at PF. How are you approaching it?
Well,
if you're
at
the guys on the
PF
front
here,
row?
you really want to get to the inside. It's the dirty side of the track, but it's also the side that allows you to get into turn 2 first. When you get to the inside, you're allowed, you have to stay in the tram line, so you can't straight away switch once the light goes green. But yeah, you really want to be on that inside, and it will minimise the opponents from the other side.
And a long race as well, isn't it? They got plenty of laps out there. So if you're in there, you're would you approaching this with some patience, trying to work with the driver to get away?
I mean, you've got the massive timer up there showing you how much time you've got left, so you should really know how much time you've got left. But especially when it's kind of 2 minutes or 3 minutes to the end, you really don't have to push, because I know these Water Swift drivers are a really clever bunch of drivers, and so yeah, I don't feel like they're going to push themselves too hard.
Well, we're being told to clear the drink. Zach, it's been great to get your insight there. That is all the preparation done. It is time to go racing for the first Grand Prix. Let's hand over to our commentary team, Henry Baudet and Anthony Jordan.
Let's make a little bit of Kartmasters history, ladies and gentlemen, as we get set to crown our first ever Water Swift Restricted GP plate. Austin Gibson and George House for Oliver Rowland Motorsport will share the front row of the grid. Oliver Warner and Colby Patterson will go from row number 2. Ronnie Carter and Daniel Ferguson on row 3, followed by Alfie Davidson and Harry Williams. Mason Brooks and Austin Newstead round out the top 10 ahead of Charlie Clough and Senna Shannakens from the Netherlands. Then it's Qatar's Attica Mir, UAE's Ava Lawrence, Callum Graham and China's Linghan Li. International grid. Who is going to be the 164th different Kartmasters champion? Thank you, David Klassen. The new commentator is superb. I can see myself, yes, I'm being marched out of the door as we speak. The 35 viewers that entered the predictions competitions, I have got your predictions in front of me. If your choice wins, you get 3 points. If your choice is second, you get 2 points. If your choice comes home third, you get 1 point. It's going to be provisional on the live stream. Obviously, the results you see on the circuit are provisional, pending any issues after the race. So it will be provisional on the live stream. Good luck to Austin Gibson. Good to see Josh Cook saying hello to all his friends he races against in Micro Max and Water Swift Restricted. Anthony Jordan.
Yes.
Time to pull those belts up tight and go racing.
It is certainly time to go racing. Water Swift Restricted race 50 of the weekend. Looking forward to this one. The wind has picked up. It's a tailwind down the main straight. Let's see what happens with that one. It is Oliver Rowland Motorsport, row 1 lockout. Austin Gibson, George House, who's going to get the whole shot into turn 1. Green flag goes out, and it's a great start from the PF plate. But watch out as George Gibbons Motorsport comes through. Oliver Warner into P2.
Great start. 16 Water Swift restricted karts head out onto the Uncle Tyrone backing. 2 of them collide in the background there, interlocking wheels, and off they go. Are they going to get back on there? They do get back into the race at the tail end of the field. But it is your pole sitter, the PF plate holder, the driver that currently leads the British Championship, Austin Gibson, in the lead, but he hasn't got his rear gunner behind him. He hasn't got his teammate George House, because Oliver Warner for George Gibbons Motorsport is up into P2. Then it's House in third. Then the leading Fusion kart, that's Rocket Ronnie Carter in the number 33 entry, followed by that very distinctive white kart, that's the Mad Crop Promotions entered kart, but it's a livery for Daniel Ferguson.
Yep, very nice start then for the entirety of the grid. Out of the final corner they go then. 15 minutes plus 1 lap, these races, the longest they have had to do over the course of the weekend. And like you say, 3-cut breakaway now. George House has closed into the back of Oliver Warner now, and this is vital. Warner, he wants to keep those 2 karts split apart by staying in that middle spot. If they join forces, they could become more dangerous than he ever thought. Patterson looking to the inside there at Ferguson onto the bridge. Wasn't on, he stays behind. As the now very clear gap, as now goes Ferguson for 4th place. No, again, thinks against it. Ronnie Carter holding on to it.
Pivotal moment potentially. House passes Warner for 2nd position. Remember back to the pre-final and how desperate Austin Newstead was to keep himself between the 2 Oliver Rowland Motorsport karts. Now that task falls to Oliver Warner, because Austin Newstead is still trapped down in 7th position after starting 10th. As they come out to the Mike Wilson complex, 6 times world karting champion, into the final complex of corners. Gibson looks over his shoulder. They're not pulling away. Warner is still there. Then it's Carter, Ferguson. Behind Ferguson is Newstead and Mason Brooks, with Patterson, Davidson, Harry Williams rounding it at top 10. And Attica Mia, the young lady from Qatar, up into 11th position ahead of Senna Shelikans. There's Ferguson making a move as we head down through turn 4 towards hairpin number 1.
Nice start again, still watching all these battles. Keep an eye though further back. Austin Newstead's back on a charge in this one. Austin, who started the pre-final on the front row of the grid, unfortunately fell back, finished 10th in his race. But certainly he is a quick driver and he's wanting to capitalize back on this one. He knows he can launch an attack, but he can't launch an attack yet because he needs to work with the man in front of him, Mr. Ronnie Carter, to see if he can close up to Oliver Warner.
Yeah, and there's a change. There goes Newstead. He's not hanging about. He knows that time is ticking. And we're watching a good battle. This is a good little battle between Colby Patterson in kart number 24 and the 2 Fusion drivers, Mason Brooks and Alfie Davidson. And behind them is Daniel Ferguson. There is, and you can see this is a temporary alliance. That is a Fusion driver, Mason Brooks, pushing an Oliver Rowland Motorsport driver, Colby Patterson. They've got to work together now if they've got to stay in if they're going to stay in touch with the leaders. They battle and they fall back, and neither of them have a chance of winning. They work together because look at that, the gap's not that big, and Oliver Warner's not being dropped as we go into the first hairpin on lap number 4. 11 minutes to go.
Austin Newstead on that last lap, set the fastest lap of the race, 106.45, very, very quick indeed. 11 minutes to go plus 1 lap. But keep an eye on it, this is certainly still heating up. This is the earliest, I think, that Gibson and House have got to the front and have been working together. That is dangerous for the rest of the field because they have got plenty of time to just drive away from the rest of the field. These 2 will not attack each other until the last couple of laps if they stay like that. It's guaranteed.
Yes, and you can see the damage they're doing because Oliver Warner is gradually just half a length here, half a length there, falling behind. He's still in the slipstream. Well, is he? Because look at that boost that George House is giving his teammate onto the banking. Warner is just about keeping touch. Oliver Warner cannot put a wheel so much as 1 centimetre offline. If he makes the slightest, smallest, tiniest, teensiest mistake, his chances are gone. And you can see on this lap, I think that Oliver Warner has lost a toe. I almost think, is it worth Oliver Warner just easing back a little bit, allowing Austin Newstead to catch him, and then Newstead and Warner can form an 8-wheel train and maybe work together. But it's going to be tough from this point on. The 2 ORM karts working in sweet harmony together.
Yeah, we always call it, don't we, in these cadet level races, that it's like playing chess at 50 miles an hour.
Oh, yes.
It's a constant thinking game, isn't it, Henry, where they're just thinking, what do I do at this point now? Because, like you say, you always need to have that slipstream. It's got to be available. Yes, okay, it's a tailwind down the main straight, but what does that mean when they're coming down off the bridge? It's a headwind. So now they've got to work with the slipstream. And right now, Mr. Warner does not have that, but now he will have a bump draft. Further back, though, in the field, Mason Brooks making good moves. You can see he's 3 wide there. He's got to be careful. Ferguson and Williams in that one as well.
Oh.
Patterson trying to get involved as well.
Yes.
Very, very close all the way throughout the field. Here comes now for 4th place, though. Newstead to the inside. Newstead's wanting to lead Warner here. Both of them now. Warner's got to latch onto the back of Newstead.
Yes, he does. Austin Newstead, he means business. The baby-faced assassin, Austin Newstead. Great interviewer, interviews, really polite, always mentions his sponsors. He has nerves of steel and a stare that could turn into stone when he's on a mission. He's started 10th, he's up to 3rd. You can't see his eyes, he's got his tinted visor on, and I have to say, be very interested to see, Anthony, can Austin Newstead catch these 2 karts all on his own? Pretty remarkable if he does, but we'll have to see. Warner, now look, the 2 ORM karts are locked together. Warner, he's still that 1 kart length, half a kart length off the rear bumper of Newstead, which means he's not giving him the same the same push and the same draft that House is giving his teammate Austin. Behind them, now there's, again, this temporary alliance. Patterson in the 24 and Davidson in the number 46 working together, and they're not out of this one yet. Behind the top 8-9, we've got Ferguson in 9th, 3.5 seconds cover the top 9. You've got Harry Williams, Attica Mia, Senna Shallikins, Charlie Clough, Callum Graham, and then Linghan Lee and Ava Lawrence. All 16 drivers still running, and really now we're down to 9. Well, Daniel Ferguson is about 0.8 of a second behind Ronnie Carter. Ronnie Carter runs in 8th, and the top 8, as we come on to the start-finish straight now, you'll still see the top 8, top 9 in the same camera frame. There they are, 2, 4, 6, 8, 9. Okay, then there's a big yawning gap back to Harry Williams in 10th position.
Yeah, Akita Mir, who's up 2 positions as well, is there just behind Harry Williams in P11. Senna Shallikins also there as well, P12 from Charlie Clough, Callum Graham, Linghan Lee and Ava Lawrence still rounding out all 16 karts that started this race. Currently still running in it as well.
Anthony, look at the front there. Now you can see Warner has latched on to the rear bumper of Newstead. It's taken him a lap, but now he is doing exactly what George House is doing for Austin Gibson.
Yeah, he certainly is doing that, so keep a close eye on it. Oh, but Gibson sets the fastest lap of the race on that last lap. 105.66, 105.69 for George House. They are absolutely line astern still, aren't they?
And they were 4/10 faster than Newstead and Warner. This lap, though,
a big jump.
Could be different. Well, Warner has just set his personal best first sector. That's while he's pushing Newstead along. He's in the slipstream. Let's check the gap. It was 1.4 seconds. It's gone up to 1.7.
They're not catching.
This is pressure. This is pressure. Newstead and Warner. Temporary alliance, BMR and George Gibbons Motorsport. Oh, these temporary alliances, they
seem to be fading.
They faded just behind them as the 2 Fusion drivers, that is Davidson and Brooks, now lock horns and try to push on. Still the top 9, all in the same frame. Behind the top 9, there is a gap of 8 seconds back to Harry Williams in P10. Sean O'Brien asked, is the track a bit wet?
No, it's completely dry.
No, but basically there's a little bit of sunshine, but there's also some cloud, and that is reflecting off all the rubber that has been laid down.
Yeah, completely dry track. 5 minutes to go. Not all is over here for Newstead and Warner.
Not by a long shot.
Because it's guaranteed, ladies and gentlemen, 100% guaranteed. George House and Austin Gibbon will battle. They will battle. Gibson and House, they will battle. Austin Newstead and Oliver Warner will close that gap. But it's at what point do they start battling at the front? That's what they do. If they leave it to the very last lap, they won't catch up in time.
Another new fast lap, 105.61. Well, the team, the ORM team boss, Oliver Rowland, he won his first and only Kartmasters title in 2002 in what was then called Cadet Coma. This is in effect a continuation of that class. We had the Coma engine, we had the Gazelle engine, now we've got the Water Swift engine, but this is a restricted class, so it's not a direct continuation, but can, on the 21st anniversary of that triumph for Oliver Rowland, can his drivers make it a very, very special 1-2 finish? They're still quicker by 0.3 of a second per lap than those leading their pursuers.
Yeah.
Alfie Davidson in 5th, Mason Brooks 6th, Colby Patterson 7th. On your screens now, they come out of the final corner and onto the start-finish straight now. And they're also trying to catch Newstead. Look at the gap, it's gone up by another 0.4 of a second. Even though Newstead and Warner have just put in both their personal best laps of the race at 105.9 for Austin Newstead against a 105.6 for George House. Oh, and sideways there, that was Daniel Ferguson and Ronnie Carter. They're now battling over 8th and 9th. Into the first hairpin, Anthony, and George House isn't making his move yet. What we haven't seen yet is we haven't seen Austin Gibson looking over his shoulder that much.
No.
When Gibson starts looking over his shoulder, that's the sign that he's now starting to think, okay, we've been attacking, now my mind is on defence.
Yeah.
Thou shalt not pass is Austin's motto.
Yeah, 3 minutes plus 1 lap to go. And again, you got to think now for these drivers, the drivers behind this is probably the most controlled race we've seen from the Water Restricted grid. They've had some exciting races, exciting battles. Come to the Grand Prix final, everything suddenly, they mature about 15 years mentally, don't they?
This is smart racing. You know, this is smart racing by the ORM. Yes, you want to see them going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, but that is not smart racing. It's exciting, it's spectacular, but it is not smart. You need to use your nous, and that is exactly what these young drivers, aged 8, 9 and 10 years of old, that's what they're doing.
No change at the front. Austin Gibson still leading the way. Back with them here now. Well, Henry, you said about checking over the shoulder.
Yes.
2 minutes to go.
Yes.
Gibson checked over his shoulder. He's not gone defensive yet, but he's very much aware that George House is right there.
Okay, so we're not getting our elbows out yet, but we're definitely rolling our sleeves up. We'll see if Gibson checks over his shoulder coming out of this next corner onto the start-finish straight. Let's have a look. No. Not yet.
The next test as well is that as soon as Gibson and House start battling, will Newstead and Warner start to close in? Yes, they will. But crucially, will they start to battle or will they continue to work together?
Well, I mean, they will. If George leaves it till halfway on the last lap,
they'll
battle. But if he starts having a little nibble at Gibson, say at the end of this lap, we've got 1 minute 17 seconds to go, so when they come across the line, there'll be 2 laps remaining. If they start battling with 2 to go, then Warner and Newstead will continue to stay in single file to try and catch them.
Yeah, exactly. It's just a case of when it's going to happen. They did swap positions.
Oh, there's a little look. Another little look. I think we're building up. I mean, okay, it'll be 2 laps to go next time by. I think you might see Austin Gibson defend going onto the banking on this lap. I think going onto the banking this lap is when George House will start to shift his line away from Austin Gibson and try to use a different line. They go across that finish line. The teams, the mechanics, the spectators watch. Newstead being pushed along by Warner. They're not battling yet. They know there's still a chance. Even though the gap is 3.5 seconds, there's only 20 seconds plus a lap of this race to go. They know there's still a chance. Okay, a look over the shoulder here. Yes, no?
No. Honestly,
okay.
it's going to happen when we just don't know when.
This lap. It's not going to happen this lap.
No.
I mean, I think they both know it's last lap only.
Yeah.
So House and Gibson, 1 and 2. Ignore the graphics there. It says House in front of Gibson. That's more like it. So, there's a little look. But again, George is not going to make a move until they start the last lap. Until they start the last lap, which they are about to do. Anthony Jordan, it's a ORM 1-2. The question is, which one of them will come home first?
Here we go then. Last lap board comes out instantly now. Gibson starts to look to the inside there. He covers off any attack through turn number 1. Not going to happen there. Now House switches to the outside. Watch for the cutback here. And he gets alongside here onto the bridge. And he gets into first place. Now that's very early into the lap.
Yeah.
There are so many overtaking opportunities between here and the finish line. House has got all the work to do now to defend from Gibson.
Gibson
needs
cuts
to
out. Yeah, he cuts out. Now he'll try the crossover. House parks it on the apex.
Oh, very good.
Smart driving there from George House. Now into this second hairpin. Can House get the kart slow down? No, the momentum. He does get the kart slow down. Gibson can't get the crossover again. Newstead and Warner still battling.
Very close there. I thought it was going to go the outside through the Fullerton S's into Bobby Game corner again. Defensive. Watch for the switch back through here. This is where you can catch him. Oh, and there it is. And Gibson's back through. But watch out for House. He might go back down the inside here. No, he's not quite close enough. These two very, very close. But George House just left that gap open into Bobby Game corner. And Austin Gibson will cross the line. He is your Grand Prix champion for Water Swift Restricted. The first ever in history.
And he did it in a style worthy of a champion. He didn't panic. You think of this, ladies and gentlemen. You're less than 1 lap away from winning the British Kart Grand Prix. You've been leading the entire race virtually, and your teammate passes you at the start of the last lap. Do you panic? No. Austin didn't. Austin just bided his time. The crossover moves were superb, and then he got George House into a position where George simply couldn't get across quick enough, and Gibson makes the move, takes the win. The PF plates will be swapped for the GP plate, and provisionally Austin Gibson is your first ever Kartmasters champion for Water Swift Restricted. A look at there, Harry Williams on the retired with 5 laps to go. No nose cones. There's Austin Newstead who completes the podium. Oliver Warner finishes 4th. Then it is Alfie Davidson 5th. Colby Patterson comes home in 6th. Mason Brooks is 7th. Ronnie Carter is 8th. Daniel Ferguson finishes 9th. Senna Shellikens is 10th. Then Charlie Clough, Callum Graham, Linghan Lee, Attica Mia, and Ava Lawrence. Unfortunately, Harry Williams failed to finish. Now, ladies and gentlemen, what you are going to see, the drivers will go in, they will be weighed, they will have their nose cones checked, and then once the stewards out on the circuit have said, look, no in-race penalties. There might still be issues afterwards in all these races. Once the stewards clear anything from on-track activity, you will see the first 3 drivers come out into the waiting microphone. And, there's Mason Brooks. Oh, he's going to be a little bit upset there, Mason. But there are your top 3. Now, once there's no nose-cone penalties, once the officials are happy there's no in-race penalties, once there's no weight issues, they will drive out and take their positions behind there. So, provisionally, and this is all provisional, your Water Swift Restricted Kartmasters podium. Austin Gibson for Oliver Rowland Motorsport in P1. George House for Oliver Rowland Motorsport in P2. And Austin Newstead for the BMR Restart team in P3. Chris McCarthy is waiting, and he'll be speaking to Austin Gibson very shortly.
And a huge round of applause down here as we welcome our Grand Prix champion in Water Restricted. Please continue the round of applause for Austin Gibson. Finishing in second place, his Oliver Rowland Motorsport teammate George House, a 1-2 for the Ollie Rowland Motorsport team. Ollie winning 21 years ago here. And in third place, a great drive through as well, Austin Newstead. Can we have a round of applause, please, for all of our top three once again? Thank you. Well, we'll let Austin get his crash helmet off and then we'll talk about that last lap. A brilliant team effort. Austin, I'll come over and speak to you. A great team drive between you and George to get such a big gap there for the last lap.
Yeah, it was really hard on the last lap. I mean, he hit the curb and he ran wide, so I just got the switch back.
And saw the gap coming into the Mike Wilson complex and managed to get it down the inside.
Yeah. Me and George pushed really hard through the race, and yeah.
Tell us how it feels to be a Grand Prix champion. You're a PF plate holder, now Grand Prix champion, following in the footsteps of your team boss as well. How does that feel?
It feels really good. I'm so happy that I won the GP plate and the PF plate.
Well, Ollie is over there watching. He had one of these a few years ago. Now this is for you, Austin. You get to hold it, face the crowd. The team are over there. Hold it up for us. Austin Gibson, GP plate holder. Let's come to second place. Then it was a really good drive. Almost got it, but just losing out on the last lap. George House, I mean, you must be very happy still with the podium.
Yeah, very happy. It was a great race. I'm proud for getting second. He just got me going into the
into the complex.
Yeah. But I'm happy with second. At least I get a podium. So.
It looks like you have put a lot of effort into that one as well. Tell us, how hard was it to stay so consistent throughout the race?
It was really hard. We pulled a massive gap to third. It was a great race, and yeah.
Well done. Let's get a round of applause, please, for second place, George House on the podium. And next, Austin Newstead. Well, we spoke to you before the race. You said you think you could make some places, and you have, coming through the pack to finish in third. You must be happy with the podium.
Yeah, obviously, really happy as I had to start 10th after a penalty, and I just managed to come through and managed to finish third.
And definitely going to come back to another fight to try and get the GP play next year?
Yeah.
Well done. Let's give a round of applause, please, to Austin Newstead finishing in third place.
The first class is Water Swift Restricted. And in third position, representing BMR Restart, it's Austin Newstead. Austin starting 10th, finishing third. Finishing in second position, just 0.07 of a second behind the eventual winner, representing Oliver Rowland Motorsport, it's George House. But your winner and 2023 Kartmasters GP plate champion, representing Oliver Rowland Motorsport, Austin Gibson. And James Mills from IAMA UK follows Austin, the current British Championship leader, who swaps the PF plate for the GP plate. A quick rundown of what each driver wins. So, Austin Newstead in third position, that is £200 in cash, a set of Dunlop tyres and an IAMA t-shirt and cap. Second place driver George House, £300 in cash, Dunlop tyres and the t-shirt and cap. But for Austin Gibson, the GP plate's £500 in cash, a set of Dunlop tyres, the IAMA t-shirt and cap, and a set of Delta Racewear gloves. Ladies and gentlemen, your Water Swift Restricted podium. Drivers, hang on a second. Are they all right, Chris? Okay. You can go. One last smile. Austin, look at Mr. Walker. There we are. Congratulations, ladies and gentlemen.